All of the cherry tomatoes in my garden are finally producing, so I thought this would be the perfect time to share with you what everything looks and tastes like. So if you've been around my channel for a little while, then you know in the summertime I like to refer to myself as the tomato queen. That's what I use on Instagram and Snapchat anytime I'm talking about the whole tomato situation, because I just love tomatoes. They're my favorite. They're amazing. And I like to grow a lot of different types of tomatoes in my garden. Now, if you are looking for a garden tour, I am going to do an updated one of those here in a couple weeks. So be on the lookout for that. And if you're not subscribed here already, make sure you do that so you won't miss that, as well as all the healthy eating and healthy recipes and all that kind of stuff that I post. But since I've got all of these tomatoes coming in all at once, I thought this would be a great opportunity to talk about them a little bit and give you some ideas, whether you're just interested in the different types and what's out there, or you're looking for stuff to get at the farmer's market, or maybe to grow in your own garden too. Now, the first thing you should know is I grow all heirlooms in my garden, and I do that for a couple reasons. I'll talk about those in a little bit if you're interested in more information about heirloom seeds and why heirloom plants are so important. But since we're here to talk about tomatoes, let's do that first. So we're going to start off here with the green grape tomato, and as you can see, this is a pretty large cherry tomato, and it actually turns a little bit of like a yellow shade on the outside when it's fully ripe. But the inside is totally green throughout, which looks really, really pretty. And if you're not familiar with green when ripe tomatoes, basically all it means is that when the tomato is ripe, it is still green, which is pretty cool because it adds a nice element of that green color, especially if you have a bunch of tomatoes mixed together. The one downside to those types of tomatoes is you really have to keep an extra close eye to check them when they're ripe, because since they don't turn bright red and really stand out, you can miss it if you're not checking frequently. But they are really pretty. The flavor on this one is really good. I think that most people would like it. It's a very good tomatoey flavor. It's not as intense as some heirlooms are, but it's still really delicious, and especially if you want a little bit of a larger tomato and you want that green color, it's a really, really good choice. And also the green grape is a determinate tomato, which means it's like a bush type tomato. It's gonna produce kind of all at once, and then it's gonna die, as opposed to the tomatoes that keep growing and growing. You need to trellis them and cage them. So if you want to grow them like in a like patio basket type situation, or you don't want to do the cages and the trellising, then that would also make this a good option for you. Next up is the tomato, and this is also a larger tomato, cherry tomato. It's not quite as big as the green grape, but it's still on the larger side of things, and it's kind of just like that classic red tomato that you think of. And also when you cut it open, it just looks like typical tomato inside. And this is my first year growing this tomato. I wanted to add it into the mix and try something new, and I have to say, so far I'm really, really liking it. It definitely has like a classic tomato flavor, so if you like that, then you probably like these. And I also really appreciate that the name is pretty punny. Tomato. Tomato sounds like tomato. I don't know if everyone gets it, but I thought it was pretty cute. And I think overall they're really good. So if you're someone who wants something that is an heirloom but still has that kind of like traditional tomato look that you think about, or you just want a nice red tomato to have in the mix, it's pretty good. It's also pretty sturdy, which is nice because some tomatoes are more delicate, and that might be a pro or a con depending on who you are. I think having more durable ones is nice, especially if you can't get out into your garden as often, because they're going to hold up a little bit better if they're not picked right away. Now, with that said, I have seen a little bit of splitting with these, probably about the same or less than the other cherry tomatoes when we get rain and stuff. So it's not like totally not gonna split ever, but I think it's not any worse, and maybe a little bit better than some of the other varieties that I have here. Then we have one of my personal favorites, which is the black cherry, and this has this beautiful like brick color. It's gorgeous on the outside. It looks like this on the inside too. Just really, really pretty. And this guy tastes amazing. And I actually grew this one for the first time last year, and last year it became my new favorite cherry tomato. It's amazing. The flavor is just better than anything else I grow. It's so, so good. It's sweeter than some other types, which is really good. And it's still got nice sturdy fruit. It produces a lot. I'm growing 4 of these in the garden. Some of the others I'm only growing 2. This guy I made sure to just like put as many out there as I wanted because they're so good. And I've talked to some other people too that grow them and say that they're also their favorite. So if you've never tried them before, I would highly recommend it. This is another new one for me this year, and this is the white cherry. So This one is, it's called a white cherry, but it's like a pale yellow, as you can see. And this same kind of color pretty much runs throughout. It might be a little lighter on the inside, but really pretty either way. And I actually got the seeds for this one in an Instagram seed swap. I'll link the girl's account that I got them from. She does like a lot of gardening and like chickens and all that kind of stuff on her Instagram. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, then you'll probably really like her account. But we were talking about doing a seed swap, and I was looking at what she had, and I saw she had mentioned that she loved the black cherry and the white cherry tomatoes. And I was like, well, if she loves black cherry tomatoes, then I can probably trust her taste in tomatoes. So I'll try the white cherry. And they are really good. I think they're probably my number 2 now in the garden. They're amazing. They're delicious. I think they look beautiful. They're a little bit smaller than the black cherry, but definitely a nice addition to this mixture. And like I said, the flavor on these is great. So if you're looking for 2 to grow, then I would definitely say black cherry and white cherry are going to be good options. Now these guys down here are the little babies of the bunch. These are the Mexico Midget, and they are very teeny tiny tomatoes. If we compare them down here to like the black cherry or the Tommy Toe or the green grape, you can see that they are little cute little teeny tiny tomatoes. And they might look, you know, unsuspecting. They're just little red tomatoes. When you cut them open, they're pretty much look, you know, normal, what you think about all the way throughout, but these guys are special. I've grown them for 3 years now because one, they have so much tomato flavor packed into such a small package. It's delicious. But then also on top of that, because they are so small, they're always the first tomato to ripen in my garden. So my first tomato taste every year is these guys. And also they produce just so many little bitty fruits, which I think is really fun. The plants just go crazy and they just keep producing and producing and producing. There's so many tomatoes on there. And I think that's just really fun because, I mean, when you get big tomatoes, you get a few and it takes a while, but these guys are just everywhere. As far as why I grow heirlooms, there's a couple reasons for that. The first one is that it's so cool to have stuff that you can't get at your grocery store or maybe even at your farmer's market. Just having all of these cool varieties that have so many different sizes and flavors and colors and textures. It's just so much more variety than what you can find other places. And so that's really fun. The other reason is that you're helping to preserve these different strains, these different types that maybe don't get grown commercially, maybe they don't ship well, or for whatever reason, they're not in really broad scale production. And so they're kind of get neglected and we don't want to lose these guys. So growing these things year after year and then saving seeds from them and doing all that kind of stuff, it helps to make sure that these varieties don't go away. And also it's just a lot of fun. I mean, to be able to grow all of these types that most people you talk to, even the ones who garden, may have never heard of them, seen them, tasted them. I think it's a really cool experience because not only are you getting all of those wonderful things that heirlooms get to offer, but then you get to share them with the people around you. Now, as far as the big tomatoes go, they're still taking their time. I've gotten a few out, but they're not really in heavy production yet. Lots of green tomatoes out there. But if you'd like to see a little roundup of those once they're really producing similar to this one, then definitely let me know and I could do that for you. And also, I want to know what you're growing. Do you have any cool varieties or even stuff that's just kind of, you know, quote unquote normal, anything like that? I definitely want to hear about what you're growing, how it's going, and all that kind of stuff. I hope you like seeing this little overview of the cherry tomatoes from my garden. And if you are new here and you want more healthy eating tips and nutrition info and healthy recipes, as well as updates on my gardening adventures, then make sure that you subscribe because eating healthy and living a healthy lifestyle really doesn't have to be complicated, and I want to show you how to do it. Thanks for watching. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll talk to you next time.